Alright, it is time for Fatal Friday again. Good morning, good evening, whatever time of day it is for you. Welcome to this thing that I do called Thor's Entertainment. I am Thor. And Fatal Friday is the series where I look back on videos where I went into Mortal Kombat 1's Kombat League, and I tried to get unique finishers like Brutalities and Fatalities against the random opponent that I got. This time around, the character I'm going to be using is Tanya, who I'm pairing up with the kameo Sonyablade. I'm going after Tanya's Brutality Hothead. The Hothead Brutality is going to be the Brutality version of the combo for Tanya whenever she trips the opponent using her staff weapon. Well, actually, I'm not exactly sure what weapon it is, but she trips the opponent with that weapon, and while they are on the ground, she smashes them in the face with that weapon so hard their skull explodes. The random opponent that I got this time around in the Kombat League was somebody using Raiden and the kameo Sareena. Now, right out the gate in this fight, it actually was pretty close in the first round. Like, neither of us really got any good combos going against each other, but we were getting the occasional special move against each other, and I did have a couple of combos that I just completely dropped. They could have done some pretty decent damage, but that's going to be a bit of a theme in this battle, me dropping combos. We end up getting pretty good hits against each other until we eventually both end up below 30% health. And while this one could have gone either way, we just kind of chip away at each other until I eventually grab and throw the opponent, and that throw does just enough damage to take the first round. So what I mean whenever I say that dropping combos with Tanya is a bit of a trend is that, besides maybe Katana, I drop more combos with Tanya than probably any other character. Something about the timing is just always a little bit off for me. Even so, it's not like I always drop every single combo with her, like I pull off a 300 plus damage combo right here. But the problem isn't that I can or cannot get the combos, it's a matter of consistency. Like, more often than not, I get the timing a little bit wrong, and then I end up dropping that combo, but then on other occasions I end up pulling it off. As many times as I practiced with this character, for some reason it just was not consistent. However, it was always amazing whenever I pulled off some pretty good ones with her, because since the timing was a bit of a challenge for me, it was always pretty rewarding to see it all work out. You're going to notice that Raiden starts backing away from me, so I try to take advantage of that with some projectiles to try and get the projectile brutality for Tanya, since he was basically putting himself at right around the distance I would need to pull off that specific brutality. However, eventually he changes tactics and tries to come after me, so that distance is no longer there. And then in a moment of desperation, he goes for the fatal blow. I block it, that is super punishable, and I go for the Hothead Brutality instead.
Brutality! Tanya wins.
And there it was, that was the Hothead Brutality for Tanya. Now, I believe that was the very last brutality that I needed to get for this character. All that should remain for her as far as finishers are concerned should be her 2 fatalities. But having secured that brutality early on, it's always a good feeling, because then I can go for the brutality again if I want to. But for the rest of the set in the Kombat League, I no longer have to worry about trying to get that brutality. I just need to win the fight, because I don't typically like to show off these finishers in sets where I end up losing. Also, it's kind of hard to do that, considering to get these finishers you do need to win. So it does not come up very often, although occasionally it does, and I think I've only done that twice, maybe 3 times. So in these videos, you're not typically going to see me losing the set. And even in the videos where I did end up losing the set in the end, those were very close. Like, I always pulled examples where it could have gone either way. In this case though, even though our health was kind of close at times, I've won every single round. And as I begin to stack up a pretty good life lead against Raiden here and knock him into the 30% range, it does not look like I'm going to be losing this round either. Then again, this round ends up being a lot closer than I thought initially, and I fall well below 30% health myself, so actually this one could have gone either way. But even so, I do end up winning it, so no worries. So okay, we are only 1 round away from winning the entire set. And as I am watching this back, like I said earlier, there are definitely some dropped combos, although overall they really have not been all that egregious. Like in the previous round, I ended up getting a combo up to 280 damage, and it was at that point I dropped the combo. So I was definitely leaving damage on the table, but I was still stacking up a good amount at least. And I think that was kind of the frustrating thing about this character, was just finishing. If I had finished the combos, obviously I'd have way more damage, and I would also be finishing the rounds a lot faster or more decisively. Now, I compared Tanya to Katana earlier because I was really bad about dropping combos with Katana. If we are talking about leaving damage on the table, I definitely did that with Katana, probably more than with any other character. Just one of those cases where what I do in practice mode works just fine, but trying to pull that off in a real scenario against a real person, that does not always go as well. But what did end up going well was this set. I ended up winning every single round in the set, winning back-to-back matches and taking it all 2-0. And with that, I got a clean sweep against my opponent, although that is a little bit deceptive. The match was a bit closer than the score would imply. After all, most rounds had both of us below 30% health and in scenarios where either one of us could have won. It just so happens that whenever that did occur, things went in my favor and I won it all. So despite the score, thank you to the random Raiden opponent that I got in the Kombat League. It was a good matchup with some really close rounds and I appreciate the challenge. Also, going back to the brutality that I pulled off earlier, I'll be sure to show the hothead brutality one more time at the very end of this outro, that way we can all enjoy it one final time before we part ways on this Fatal Friday. So yeah, brutality accomplished, victory accomplished, all is pretty much done here. I'm just going to go ahead and wrap up the video. Thank you for watching it and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to check out the other things I have on the Thor's Entertainment channel. I definitely have other Mortal Kombat 1 finisher videos just like this. Those can be found under the Fatal Friday playlist. And I have also played a bunch of other games as well, including playthroughs of the remakes of Resident Evil 1 and 2, and I'm currently playing through the remake of Resident Evil 3. Then there are some more games like Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver, and Crash Bandicoot, so if any of that sounds interesting to you, feel free to check it out. No matter if you do or if you don't, thank you for checking out this video for this long. Have a good weekend, and hopefully I see you next time.
Brutality! Tanya wins.